Al-Burhan says the withdrawal from Al-Fasher was to avoid further killing and destruction. Yale report calls for an immediate pressure on the RSF and its UAE backers. Turkey signs deal to buy 20 Eurofighters from Britain. Hello and welcome. Sniper TV News is back. Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah Al-Burhan said the leadership in Al-Fasher, including the Security Committee, decided to leave the city to prevent further killing and destruction after assessing the situation. He vowed to avenge for the martyrs of Al-Fasher and across Sudan, describing the events as part of the ongoing military operations imposed on the country. Al-Burhan reaffirmed his confidence in the army's victory, supported by the people, and pledged to continue operations until Sudan is freed from mercenaries. The United Nations warned on Monday of an increased risk of the further violence in Al-Fasher, confirming report that the Rapid Support Force RSF have committed atrocities, including execution, after taking control of large parts of the city of Bara in North Kordofan state. The UN Human Rights Office said it had received credible reports of execution of civilians trying to flee, as well as the killing of individuals no longer participating in hostiles, noting that some appears to be tribally motivated. It added that several disturbing videos showed unarmed men being shot or killed by RSF fighters who accused them of belonging to the Sudanese army. The Sudanese armed force called on the international community, media, and human rights organizations to document and expose the crimes committed by the militia in Al-Fasher and to amplify the voice of the victims globally. In a statement, the Armed Force spokesperson Brigadier General Asim Awad urged all relevant parties to fulfill their moral and humanitarian responsibilities by protecting civilians and activating international accountability mechanisms against the perpetrators. A new report by Yale University's Humanitarian Research Lab accused the Rapid Support Force RSF of committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, and conducting a systematic and intentional process of ethnic cleansing in the recently captured city of Al-Fasher. Using satellite imagery and open source data, the report analyzes the aftermath of the city's fall, finding evidence of targeted killing and house-to-house clearance operations where civilians were sheltering. Researchers documented signs of consistent human bodies near RSF vehicles and indicators of a possible mass grave. The report identified the four and the Zagawa and the Burti, the non-Arab communities, as the target of forced displacement and execution. It urged the international community to exert immediate pressure on the RSF and its backer, particularly the United Arab Emirates, to stop the ongoing violence. Documents presented to the UN Security Council revealed that British-made military equipment had been found on Sudanese battlefield in the possession of the Rapid Support Force RSF, accused of committing genocide. The discovery has renewed analysis over Britain's arms export to the United Arab Emirates, which has been repeatedly accused of supplying weapons to the RSF. It also raises questions about the UK government's possible role in fueling the conflict, as new data shows London approved additional exports to similar military equipment to the UAE, even after earlier UN reports linked such items to the RSF. The Joint Force of Armed Struggle Movement conducted or commended the heinous crimes committed by the Rapid Support Force militia in Al-Fasher, which resulted in the death of more than 2,000 people on October 26 and 27 alone. Most of them were women, children, and elderly. In its statement, the Joint Force described the violations as war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. The statement called on the United Nations, the Security Council, and the international human rights organizations to classify the militia as a terrorist group. The Ministerial Subcommittee of the High Committee for Preparing the General Environment for the Return of Citizens to Khartoum inspected proposed sites to house federal ministers once they resume work in the state. The visit was led by Federal Minister of Health Dr. Haitham Mohammed Ibrahim, with the participation of Minister of Industry and Trade Mahasin Ali Yaqub, Acting Director General of the Ministry of Urban Planning Engineer Wijdan Ibrahim Mustafa, and Executive Director of Khartoum Locality Abdul Mun'im Al-Bashir. Turkey was agreed to buy 20 new Aerofighter Typhoon jet from Britain for $10.7 billion, strengthening defense ties between the two NATO allies. The deal was signed in Ankara by Britain Prime Minister Khair Starmer and President Tayyip Erdogan, who described it as a landmark moment. Erdogan added that more joint defense industry projects could follow. Turkey is also in talks to purchase 24 additional jets from Gulf states. The move aims to bolster Ankara's air defense and close the gap with the regional rivals such as Israel. A plane crash near Kenya's coast has killed 10 Europeans and a Kenyan pilot, according to Mombasa Air Safari. The victims include 8 Hungarians, 2 Germans, and the Kenyan pilot. The airline said its priority now is to provide the families of the victims with full support. This was your today's news by Sniper TV. Thank you for watching. Until next time, have a good day.